What's
Hey, good
up, bro?
morning.
Morning.
All right, can you turn your camera on so I can see that beautiful mug? There it is. All right. Um, okay, dude. So, did you watch that video?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just jump right into that. So tell me what info you gleaned out of that video.
Um, I'll
Wh-
tell you the stuff I don't do. Um, when leaving a voicemail, I leave my number, but I don't say it twice. If the area code's out of the blue, I don't say the area code. Oh, I'm from Oakland, but now I'm here. Um, the pit. I say the same thing on over the phone that I do when I'm in person. Like I am Payton. I'm the windshield guy here at uh Hank Graff. I don't say the advisor, but I was like, hey, I'm looking at your windshield. I noticed you got a couple of chips on it, and I tell them where it's at on, on it. I'd be like, hey, it's right above the VIN in the bottom right corner, or the driver's side corner, or it's dead center. If it's somewhere where it's obvious they can't see, I was like, hey, I'll send you a quick picture right now so you know what I mean, and I'll send them a picture. And like, um, And then I was like, hey, this is my personal cell. Can you text me your email real quick? I just gotta send you over a signature, get your autograph. It just approves me to do the work. And there's a couple questions after that. We have a lifetime warranty, just so you get that. I explain all that. The same with the email. I send a text back saying, hey, I sent you the email. Can you sign that, please? It might be in your junk or spam folder if you can't find it. I try to be very thorough with my
Now,
phone
do I
calls and
do I do the training in that video about how to text them the signature link?
mm, no.
Because I highly recommend not emailing. I've not banned that process, but I've that is like the worst way to do it is sending them an email because it goes to spam. And if they flag it, if they click the is this a spam and they don't know and they click it, and what happens is Google tallies those up. And we just had to change emails because our primary email for GTP is basically on lockdown because too many customers have additionally clicked the button that says this is spam. Um, and if they even get that far, most customers don't even get it because it automatically goes to their spam folder. And the reason that is because anytime there's a Gmail platform or an exterior platform from the software, it automatically goes to someone's spam. So it has nothing to do with the credibility of our software. It's just the way they set it up because they want people to have their own email that's not through Google, right? If they're going to use it in conjunction with the software. It's really stupid. But so what I recommend is you email yourself the signature link, open it up, copy the signature link, and then say, "Hey, here's the link," and you text it to them. Because if they're already responding to your text, then having them go and do extra work, the more work you put on the customer, the more their experience is diminished, right?
Okay.
And um, so if you say, "Hey, I'm just going to text you a link," and then it's just going to take you to now, do you know what they're actually signing in that link?
No, I've never I've kind of read it here and there, but I mean, I just say the same thing. Hey, it's just your approval for me to do the work on your vehicle, and then I
Yeah,
mean,
so what it is, it's the approval to do the work specifically without a written estimate. Um, so what we tell the insurance company is, hey, they're giving us permission to do it without requiring an estimate to them and to you guys first. Basically, it's giving us approval to not have to use an adjuster.
mm,
So that way it can get approved on the spot.
okay,
But I don't tell customers that. I just say, I'm like, yeah, this is just this just authorizes us to do the work. And essentially, you're saying it, you don't need us to send you approval because we're not going to bill you, or we don't technically even bill your insurance company. They tell us what they're going to pay us. So, and they go, oh, so when I tell them like that, like, hey, we don't even necessarily bill them. They tell us what to invoice them for, and they dictate that. We don't have a
Oh,
say.
I tell them that. They'll ask me like, "Oh, how much is this going to charge my insurance company?" I try to tell them I don't even know. We just agree with their pricing, and every insurance company is different.
That's it. That's what you got to tell them. And if they press you for it, you give them a big range. Like I think like so
40, so some will charge 45, some will charge 95, and
all
every
right, the
now and
only one
then
that charges 45 is Wolverine Insurance. If you want to tell them that. Say the only company that I know that pays as low as $45 is Wolverine. We don't see a lot of that insurance, but they do. And then we have some that pays 95. And for the same work, it's just it's all over the place. Very confusing for us too, but we're just like, okay, well, that's we're just playing the game with them, whatever it is. And then it just makes us it makes you look more relatable, right? And um kind of like you did the legwork to discover these weird antics. So, all right. So what our process then is it's tailor made to make sure that their experience is really good to go through the process. Because if they had to go through this process on their own, it's much more lengthy and it's annoying to do without having a streamlined way to do it. So yeah, so the signature, yeah, if you can tell them, say technically it's just you authorizing us to do the work, and technically it's saying that you don't require a written estimate, which because we don't necessarily bill you guys out, we just agree to whatever their pricing is. So there's no estimate even required on our part anyway. They go, oh, they're kind of confused still, but like, okay, sure. And then you prep them on the security questions, right? So the next part is kind of fun. That is something that we had to. So the security questions are not invasive. Invasive is the word you want to try to commit to memory. So the security questions are not invasive. They're just a way for a thorough audit down the road if there's fraudulent happening or fraud claims going on, and they're going to say, hey, how can we prove that the signature wasn't forged? And it's like, what was the color of my first car? Red. Or what was the name of my first pet? Pillow. Whatever. So like, if those things are actually true, there's no way we could have guessed that. And they'll go, you know, this is for someone who is very detail oriented. And then what I do with you, Peyton, is I want to like really break the stuff down, not so you can like info overload or info dump on them, but just so you can understand why I break the nuances down the way I do. So just so you know. All right. So what else did you notice about the video? Let me be more specific. There's a lot of things in the video. So
yeah.
what did you let's talk specifically about preparing the customer for the phone call with the call center.
I
Because I
mean,
think that is still what's kicking your piney.
I say the same thing. I mean, I've changed it to match what you want me to say. So like, say Farm Bureau, um, this is what I say. With Farm Bureau, they require a phone call. What that means is when you leave here, my call center I'm gonna send you to the call center. What they're gonna do is they're gonna affirm I did the work with you, and then they're gonna connect you to Farm Bureau by a three-way phone call. Is that fine by you? Awesome. They're going to ask you a series of questions, one to confirm who you are. Okay. And once that's done, there are three main questions I want you to look out for. One, where is it? And I describe where it's at and help them like with my terminology. Two, how many? If I did like three or four, I'd be like, hey, I know I did three or four. Okay. I'm doing this one. I'm counting this one. I did the others on the house for you. And they're like, awesome. Thank you. And then I'm like, hey, lastly is how old? Do you know how old that chip is? And then now sometimes they're like, no. And I know that they're going to say no, but I ask it anyway. I'm like, perfect. In this case, honesty is the best policy. So with that, just tell them, hey, you didn't even know it was there and that we discovered it today.
Um, okay. So when you're coaching them through those questions, there's something that you're doing. Um, do me a favor. Let's actually role play. On a recent one that you did. Let's role play it real quick. And Oh, before we role play that, let me pull up GTP. Okay. I want to see if there's any notes on either one of those claims.
I looked at the notes and there's no notes in them. Like this, they're just covered and everything else, and like, you see here, there you go, the camera. Those two right there. Chris Cook notes.
All right. I'm looking at just a couple of the returned ones. See what's going on with those. Oh, 240.
Pretty sure I only did like two. Oh, yeah, I got to submit these. Oops. Oh,
Well,
there she is. Lisa. That was the last one I did.
okay.
Could be Lisa. I mean, we called her a bunch of times. Oh, did I actually put the? Oh, I can't do that.
Okay, so this customer didn't tell us anything about um home texting Brian Lawrence on Friday.
So I, I may have a theory about what's going on. I don't
All
know.
right,
How long?
tell
How
me.
long? How long have you been at Vic?
Um, I've been there since 2014,
So 10 years, almost 11. Wow. Uh,
but I've been, kind of off and on through different seasons. They've had some transition seasons where they were so slow we couldn't staff it. They transferred hands of managers. One guy didn't want it for a few years, and so we had breaks in between there. But we've been there now for a few years, 4 or 5 years now.
and has it always been Alex as a general manager?
No, he's brand new.
I think he's the reason.
Alex,
The reason why I say that is Rebecca. Everything went smoothly Monday for her. And then Alex, out of the blue, the next morning says someone got a hold of his phone number and threatened him, and that's why they couldn't hire Rebecca back. I don't know. Rebecca and I like searched everywhere, and we couldn't find his number online anywhere. So I'm really convinced that no one got his number, and he's just said that to not hire her. And then since I recommended her to join or to be there because she's really good at what she does, he just wanted us all out. That's my working theory.
well, that might be true, but that may or may not be true. But Jeff Canover is the one who specifically called and said, like, this last complaint, I don't know the customer's name. I don't know anything other than they said it came in on November 1st, which is Friday of last week. November 1st, a customer complained and they wrote this huge long email complaining about the process. And
Oh, okay.
um,
Then I wish I knew that.
what's that?
Wish I knew that. Really different.
Yeah, so
I mean, everybody I
uh
talked to was like really good. No one had like any complaints with me, the way I described everything. All of them are really attentive. Like normally you can tell like at the beginning when you're talking to somebody and to the end that like, hey, there may be something going on, but everyone seemed really good.
so yeah, so I'm gonna have to dig in and figure out um because I don't have context. All I know is that maybe it's the timing of your approach. I asked Brian if he had any feedback for you. That when we were after we transitioned you out of there, he goes, "Well, there were a couple times where like he'd be talking to somebody or me, and then he'll just kind of like hang there." And I'm like, That's the same feedback all the other dealerships have said is that you just kind of hang out a little bit too long." So I thought that was, him. He didn't consult with these other dealerships. That was his only like. It wasn't necessarily negative per se. So the way you're doing it now is at least better. So there's improvements. But I'm just wondering if there's anything like odd that's making people question everything you're saying. One of the words that the manager used when they said when this customer called, they said that you were coaching them what to say, and they didn't like that. They felt very uncomfortable.
I mean, that's what the first guy said. Remember Harry Hammond? He said he thought I was coaching him,
Right.
but I say the same thing to every customer. I
But
let them know what's going on inside the phone call. I mean, it kind of is
not every
coaching, but
customer appreciates that though. So you can't just do a blanket. You gotta be able to read the customer. And how can you read the customer? Well, through their body language, their facial countenance, the timeliness of when they respond, how quickly do they move. Like there's all kinds of little cues that you can read. Um, so when you're prepping them for the if they're in like a big hurry, they seem like they're real confident, anything like that, like, yeah, okay, we'll do it. Um, then you want to really sell them how easy it's going to be. Like, all right, so all right, look, so the next process on the phone call, super easy. We have a call center. I send your information, your pictures, and everything over to them. They just verify it real quick. They'll get you on the line. They'll get you directly connected, so you bypass all the junk, and then they just ask you to just some standard boring insurance questions. What's your name? What's your address? Are you really you? Are we really us? But they just need your verbal approval that you want the work. You saw it. You saw the damage. You want it done. And then a couple questions they might ask you are like, how big is it? You can tell them, basically they're going to ask you, is it smaller than a dollar bill? Or is it smaller than a credit card? Just go, yes. Make it easy. And if they ask you where it's located, you can just tell them where it's located. And then the one weird question they ask is, when did it happen? They don't care when it happened. They just want to know, were you insured with them when it happened? So, oh, I don't
like
know when it happened. Dude, it's super easy. Honesty is the best policy anyway. So you just tell them, say, well, I just discovered it today.
so like sometimes
He could say, I just discovered it today. When we're calling and selling the customer on it, we have to tell the customer that the dealership and I discovered the damage together to now call you about it. But when the customer is talking to the insurance company, they could say, I discovered it today. See the difference?
mhm.
Because if you say we discovered it today and they go, we didn't discover it today. I already knew it was there, but like you're just telling me what to say. So like you might want to ask discovery type of questions, Peyton, instead of just
I do. When I see the damage, I say, hey, how old? They're gonna ask how old this chip is. Do you know how old it is? Do you know when you discovered it? And then they ask me, oh, and I had no idea it was there. And then I'm like, all right. And then they're like, yeah, it happened 3 weeks ago. I was like, all right, they're gonna be asked to be a little more specific, like a specific day.
okay.
Can you pick a day 3 weeks ago then? And they're like, yeah, I can do that. Awesome.
All right, so here's how you do that. Because so they're gonna so what you do is you say, all right, the information I send over to them has to be consistent with what you say. So is a date that's like 3 weeks ago would be like October 15th ish. Is that an okay date to put in the system? They'll go, yeah, that's fine. Perfect. All right. So when I send this over to them, they're gonna say, oh, did this happen on October 15th? You can say, well, that's at least I think so. I think that's when I first heard something. And they listen, that's totally fine. You have to tell them that it's going to be totally fine to answer that way. So they don't care. They're just reading a prompt, and they just got to make sure you were insured with them, and they'll get right to the next question. Um, and then and in terms of like billing, like we don't bill them a certain amount. Anytime we do something like this, they don't penalize you for it because typically claims that are less than $100 are considered non-penalizing. Insurance companies pay all kinds of different amounts. We don't really know what those are. That we just accept whatever they pay. So that's just so you know. And so you're making it real nonchalant. It's super easy. And you're explaining to them, right? If it's an old lady and she's talking real slow, and oh bless your soul, young man, right? So you don't want to be like, oh yeah, super easy. You got to change it. You can't say it the same way. So with her, if you have someone that's like um, older,
Okay.
they're not peppy. They don't have a bunch of pep in their step, right? If you have that generation, then you could say, awesome. So have you ever done a chip repair, a windshield chip repair claim before? No, I haven't. Say, okay, great. Well, we got it very streamlined and it's really simple. So, and to do this kind of preventative maintenance, especially in Michigan, with our weather and our roads, it's like the insurance companies are thankful that we do what we do because when there's little stone chips, typically we don't see them, and it looks like a bug or something, right? So we're just next thing you know, it's like 65 degrees in the morning or during the day, and then at nighttime it goes down to 29 degrees, and then that thermal stress cracks it out. They're like, oh yeah, say so. And this is just such a simple little fix. So how it works is we're contracted with every insurance company to provide that service to do to seal it up so it's not in danger of spreading anymore. And they don't want to penalize you because if it did crack out, whatever your deductible is, even if you have one, they've got to pay hundreds of dollars on top of that to get it replaced. So, or they could pay us a small little fee to seal it up and not have to worry about it. So that's why they don't penalize you. They go, oh, okay. Um, because dude, they're gonna be thinking like what like if they've never done it before, will this increase my rates? Even if they don't ask you, um, they're thinking about it. And this person, if no one in our company knows that they're upset, then there's a saying that says anytime there's one big complaint, that means there's 10 more people with the exact same feelings and complaint. They just didn't, say anything. Whenever there's one complaint, there's 10 more lurking behind it. So this one that came in on Friday, it might not have been a job from Friday. They might have just finally had the gall to stand up and say something, or they knew the person who had a bad experience, and they were like, "Yeah, me too," and they put a big email together. That I've had that happen too, where they conspire together. But the general rule of thumb is if there's an upset customer that actually has the courage to say something and complain, that means there's 10 more scattered in there somewhere. Um, which is why it's like that's why like right, we have to just adjust and keep trying to figure out where we can shore those up. Now, I will tell you this, and I've sold when between training and expanding and also just working in a lane, I've done over well, closer to 4,500 chip repairs. That's, yeah, it's way less than Neil and Eric and some of these guys who are in the lane all the time, right? But for several years, that was a lot more than, a lot of these guys have done. And out of all of that, how many customer complaints do you think I've ever had?
No,
If you had to guess,
10.
less than 10, personally. Personally, less than 10. More than zero, less than 10.
5.
Less than five.
2?
Yeah. Two. Um, there might be a third one that I might be forgetting, but they're so bold in my mind. I'm like, whoa, I gotta complain. I'm like, please tell me all about it because it's such a foreign concept to me that that so like when I put these trainings together, like you don't want to try to be like, all right, what's the minimum I have to understand about it? What I want you to do is change your brain to go, like, all right, he's training me this. What else don't I know? What else is he not even think? What else is Larry not even thinking to tell me? If this is like a natural thing, then I might not be aware that I'm not even training on certain aspects of it, right? Um, but what I want you to do is not to try to like, what's the minimum I can learn? Say, what's the maximum I can learn? I don't ever want to have any complaint ever. Um, and because you just gotta look at the track record, right? There's outside of Graph, so you've worked in 4 dealerships, the Honda one, Milne's, Vic Canover, and Graph, right? And so three of the four you officially got booted out of, right? Canover, we moved you. Then the next day they closed the program down because of too many complaints, right? So if we didn't move you, then this would have counted as getting kicked out, right? And then we had a close call at Graph where they were about to boot you until we had a major intervention. So so that to me is like just I just want you to like not I'm not trying to beat you up, but I want you to be aware that that's a that's a that's pretty bad.
I
Like,
know it kills me. We just put Ian in there and now he has to go back to Milness. Like,
yeah, that's all
it
right. I mean,
really,
well, I might be able to I might be able to save it, um, but that's why I want you to go bananas on trying to uncover what the heck's going on. I'm going to try to get more specific feedback because it's not entirely fair to try to tell you what to change if we don't know exactly what happened. But all I know is that the coaching part, what your the approach has been mentioned before, talking too fast or too pushy, right? And too pushy could mean if you're like waiting for them and they feel awkward, like, okay, he's in my space. If like everybody has different boundaries, right? And so like the personal bubble, personal space boundaries are different person to person. So if you've gotten the feedback we have gotten that's consistent is lingering around to talk with the employees for too long. Um, the approach in over talking a customer when you're trying to explain something. If they have a question, you'll cut them off at the question because you already know what they're asking. So to try to save them time, you jump in and answer it, but that's very rude to do that. So you got to you almost got to like let them ask the question, and instead of being like, I know what they're going to ask me, you got to be like, all right, I know what they're going to ask me, but is there a hidden question that they don't feel comfortable asking me yet? That's a maturity level that I want you to graduate into. It's like every time you're very like I know they're gonna say they don't know about when the chip happened. Why? So it's dumb I even have to ask this. But you could say like they don't know when it happened. But as we have a discussion, it might jog a memory and they'll go, oh, you know what though? Now that I'm thinking about it, I do remember hearing something hit like a month ago. And I remember going, oh, what was that? And I checked around and I couldn't see anything. So, and I just forgot about it until now that we're talking about it. Hold on. Woo! Sorry. I didn't
Oh
have
yeah,
time to mute it.
there's bless you. Well, there's another thing on my mind about Vic Canover is because I had a lady reschedule a replacement there.
Okay.
She wants to do it next month now.
All right. When did you sell the replacement?
Like Friday or
Oh, so you
Thursday.
sold it on Friday?
Yeah. I got on the phone with her and everything. Everything is good. Um, we had a little misunderstanding, but I fixed it. She rescheduled it, and then I think a couple hours later, Candace sent an invoice for the money from her, and she blew up on me, but I saved it, and she
Oh,
works all
dude,
the
I bet
time.
that's it. I bet that's the one.
It wasn't over the phone; it was in person. I mean, and then I called her, like she sent me this text. I'll go to it. Um, but it's a replacement, so I mean, it wouldn't.
It doesn't matter. I don't know the context. I don't know the con. All I know is that it was a really upset customer from Friday that sent this huge email
Well,
to
she wasn't
Vicky
upset.
Canover.
I woke up to her. I told her about the crack. We can replace it. She said she has a $500 deductible. I'm like, all right, there might be a recal on that. So I get in touch with Justin. Justin tells me, hey, it's two something. So like after all the math, it's 350. I bumped it to 400, make it flat. Then I walked over to Josh. Was like, hey, we're gonna need a recal on this. I told her, hey, she has a $500 deductible, it's a $400 windshield. Hey, let's just make it even $100 on the recal and make it a $500 matcher deductible. I was like, awesome, that works. So I walked back up to her. We agree. Okay. She's like, I'm super busy. It's like, all right, let's pencil in a date a week from now. She's like, okay. Um, and we penciled it in for November 4th, Monday. Not Monday, Tuesday, or yeah, Monday. Um, and I mean, it could have been Friday or a few days before that. And then
Did
Monday
you
morning,
hold
I
on? Did you
text
schedule this with Justin or with Candace?
uh Justin.
All right. So why are you still doing that?
Because I think I sent it to Eric, and it was like 2 hours, and she was about to leave. So I quickly sent it to Justin, and he got back to me like instantly, and I was able to like save it. I hate calling people back for replacements when I got to them and they waited 4 hours and I couldn't get a price for 4 hours, and I was just
So
um
you reached out to Eric and Candace and they didn't respond for 2 hours?
let me see here. Uh,
Because in our text message that the last one I sent to you was, please go through Candace for all replacements. Don't even go through Eric.
what was this one? Give me a second here. Oh wait, no, I don't think it was Justin. Thought I went to Justin on that. Maybe I didn't. What did I go through on that? Was it Eric? Give me a second. Let me find it. Actually, let me go to GTP or Sales Admirable because I just went through both their messages and I couldn't find it. How did I get that price? Carrie Kodalik.
What's the customer's name?
Carrie Kodalik. I think I told Candace about it. Let me go to our messages with her.
How do you spell her last name?
Kotalik.
Now did you put her in GTP under the
Yeah, I did.
SSM?
I did, but I canceled it because everything changed. She went because I put it in there as a insurance. out of pocket, and then she canceled everything, and I don't want it on the file as everything, and it was counting on my thing as payment for $25, and I didn't like that, so I just
That's broken. That doesn't work right now. That's the all of that's wrong.
yeah. So I didn't tell Candace. When the fuck did I get that price? Had to be Justin.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna try something.
Let me see here. Her VIN is 0128. Let me see if I can find it. Nope, not those VINs. Not that VIN. Not that VIN. There it is. 0128. Tuesday, October 22nd. That's when I scheduled her. So it was 2 weeks ago.
All right, so she was not from this Friday.
No, she was the week prior. So I scheduled it 2 weeks out, penciled it in. And then when I confirmed with her, hey, like remind you, you got to come in this morning and whatnot. She's like, oh, we got to reschedule that. And then she got hit with a text from Candace saying, oh, it's $400 bill and whatnot. And she blew up on me, but I fixed it. She gets it now. I was like, hey, that's not a bill. I canceled it. It's no longer in the system. She's like, because she wanted me to go through her insurance now. She's like, I don't know if my deductible's $500 now. I think I just said that because it was off the top of my head. Can you figure that out for me? And I asked for her insurance and her agency's number, and I was like, hey, I'll call for you. I'll figure it out. I'll get back to you, and we'll figure it out. She was like, all right. And I was like, hey, take your time with that. We got all the time in the world right now. Like I said, you don't want to do it till next month, so take your time on sending me that information. She's like, all right, and it was good. But that was October 22nd.
So there's not a new replacement sale that you made on Friday.
No, 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 no.
Okay.
That because I knew it was calendar. When was the 22nd? Oh yeah, that was that week. Yeah, it was the week before. It was on a Tuesday. Then if I go to my talk with Candace, I think I called her about it. That's what I did. Bacon. Um,
Yeah, because we had a we had a conversation on Friday, the first, with the admin team, and they said that even after our attempts with getting you to not go through Justin, that you were still doing it. This probably was one of the ones than if you initially went through Justin. Did you reach out to Justin again though this Friday about this customer?
no,
That was 2 weeks ago.
no, the customer. I reached out to him Monday. I was like, hey, this one's a no go. She changed the schedule on me. And she's like, all right, no problem.
That's
So
fine. That's different. No,
yeah,
that's different.
yeah.
So I gotta know that um I just gotta know that that if we ask you to make an adjustment in the process that you're going to do it, right? Like for example, like hey, don't call Justin, but you keep calling Justin. Like that means if I say, hey, make sure you do this or don't do this with the customer, then you still do it anyway. Then we lose a dealership, you get kicked out. And so the when the biggest thing is I just need to know, can you help can you sell me on the fact that you understand the how important it is to get everything just right? Because I'm concerned that like you're going minimalistic on me. Like, hey, I'm gonna get this. I'll just gonna understand it enough as best I can, and then I'll just do it and try again. Like I just can you I guess let me know where you're at.
So, let's see, a big Canover. Sometimes my messages won't send, so I send it to Eric and it doesn't deliver, doesn't deliver, doesn't deliver. I send it to Justin because he has an iPhone. And with an iPhone, it delivers immediately, which I forgot Candace had an iPhone, but I think I don't know, but just for a couple other things. So what Eric phrased it to me is Justin's brother has called you and said, "Hey, we got too many people texting us, okay? And we can't have that." And he threatened to like sever the contract, right? So instead of, everybody from everybody and everybody's team messaging Justin and taking up his time to send numbers back, we go through Eric because Eric's our director, and Eric will get everything for us. And that's what I've been doing for the time being, or since then. But like, if it's taking a little longer, or it won't like deliver, and I need something like immediate, like I don't even think about Candace because I'm not used to sending to Candace. I don't really talk to Candace that much, um, which I know I need to change that mindset. I will automatically just send it to Justin, and Justin gets back to me like immediately. I was like, "Hey, I know you don't like me texting you. My messages weren't delivering to Eric. Can you do me a quick solid?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got you." So like I and that's how I got her. Um,
All right. So what about then? What about the process of coaching a customer and the nuances of that?
okay, so uh, information doesn't really seep into me. It has to settle over time. um, and it has to be drilled into me a couple of times before I get it, if you know what I mean. So let me try and remember here.
But just let's just go back to my original question is can you sell me on how like can you prove to me right now that these nuances are not suggestions? They're like you have to do it this way.
Yeah,
I need to know that you know that it's not
like
a
the honesty
suggestion.
is the best policy. If I don't say that, then the customer will think, hey, like he's coaching me, he's telling me to lie, and then with the I versus we coaching, like if I say, hey, I discovered it, I'm telling her that I discovered it, and she's automatically thinking, oh, that seems weird. But if I say we discovered it as a whole, they feel part of the team, right? Like they like, oh,
Now
we
what about coaching her like her or him, anybody, to what to say to their insurance rep when they get on the phone.
uh, a second here. My bad, my brain's a little fried right now.
I just got to know that like you're going to take it seriously. Like you're not going to just go, "Oh yeah, that sounds good," and then just not give it a second thought until you get slapped on the hand again. Because like if we get, because here's the reality, Peyton. If we get one more blow up, it's not going to work out. So this is like we got to go. What I need from you is 90 days without one customer saying, "Oh man, I feel like he was scamming me. I feel, disrespected. I feel like he was coaching me and all these things." I got to have 90 days of not one blow up. Um, and or else we can't like all of those big ambitions, dude, of expanding and all these things like literally fly out the window and they don't exist anymore if this can't be squared up. So this is a this whatever circle this is, we got to square it up because um I will do my best to help you, but I can't force you to want to do it. You've got to want it. Your hunger level is the number one consideration. So your ability to learn and your learning curve, because you have a brilliant mind, but if you're just like, oh, this is annoying, then you're not going to learn. You're not, and nothing's going to stick, and you're going to make another mistake. And like your natural ways, the way your operation that feels natural to you is what's going to get you in trouble. So you have to operate in an uncomfortable situation that feels uncomfortable to you, but feels natural and comfortable to those around you until you do that long enough, and then that becomes the new norm, and then that eventually will become comfortable and natural. But I don't know if what all sports you've ever played, but have you ever played a sport where like the technique to shoot the ball or swing or hit is like really, really weird at first? Do you know what I'm
Oh
talking
yeah,
about?
pole vaulting. Oh my God, the way you have to run, take your steps in line. But after a while it became like super normal and whatnot. But and then the way you gotta drive your so you jump with your right leg and the left knee, you have to drive to your chest, and that's your force of whole momentum that gets your body up, and then you twist your arms so you rotate your body over the bar and you push um um the stick or whatever away from you, whatever. It's complicated.
Yeah, and you twist the opposite way wrong one time, anything like that. It's like it could be dangerous, but ultimately it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's like if you do it wrong, if you don't do it that technique, you ain't going up. Or if you are going up, you ain't going far, right? Like,
Or instead of going up, you're going out.
yeah, yeah, and that could be that could be dangerous if you right the so there's all these different so you got to look at it like that. Like, if I
Mhm.
don't duck this certain way, then the bullet's going to go through my skull, not over my head,
Like
right?
like I'm making changes to my pitch. Like I'm saying honesty is the best policy. I'm mentioning the three-way phone call. Like I'm doing all these little nuances that you're throwing at me. Maybe I'm not. I'm getting some slower than others, but it's
That's what I'm
there's
we gotta just be really on it. So I don't know what is making people feel uncomfortable. But what I'm thinking, Peyton, is do you what books does Eric have you reading anything right now?
he's gonna be reading that social book, which um I read the second chapter like a week ago, I and when I think about that book, I reflect on that chapter and what it um like means and everything. I'm about to read this third chapter here soon. It's just that I've been trying to get like I dropped the pool league so I wouldn't be as distracted in the lane anymore. I just picked up my other car the other day. Friday, I have an appointment at the Secretary of State. Like I'm eliminating these distractions one by one, and then um like I just working on it.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Um, what you're gonna need to do is create a routine that is going to help you be like put your radar up for everything that you do, like how people experience you. When people are around you, do they feel better or worse for the experience? And like I know there's a lot of training out there that says, I don't give a rat's flying patootie, but what people think about me. You ever heard someone say that? Maybe not flying patootie, but you know, insert a less or more harsher word. I don't give a rat's about what someone thinks about me.
Sort of, yeah.
That is the worst. That is the worst mentality to have in business because you have to be like hyper intentional
Hmm.
about ensuring that people's experience with you is awesome. Like, dude, when people hang out with me, it's like, even when the stakes are high. And I'll give you an example. I have a buddy of mine who has a daughter who is the same age as my oldest daughter. She's 14. She's bat guano crazy. Like she's literally a sociopath. And she would hang out with my daughter years ago, and she would tell these big fish stories, man. She would lie, like everything she would ever say was like a lie. We're like, man, we got to get this girl to church. She needs some Jesus up in her mug because so I remember we brought her to church, And then a few years ago, sixth grade, um, 2.5 years ago, geez, 2.5 years ago, my daughter comes home from school and goes, Mom, what's rape? We're like, why do you want to know? We hadn't taught her even about the birds and the bees at that point yet. You know what I'm saying? So like, we're like, what happened? She goes, well, our friend Bella said, Anna, I need you to come with me. And she grabbed Anna's hand, drug her down to the counselor's office at the school and says, hello, I just need to let you know that my dad raped me. And Anna's like, what does that mean? It sounds like it's probably pretty bad. Like she doesn't know what that they even heard the word before, right? And so we're like, oh my gosh, are you serious? So at first I'm like, I called my pastor, I'm making some calls. I'm like, okay. And then her dad, I'm acquainted with at this point, was calling me and saying, hey man, I really got to talk to you. I said, dude, this just happened. I'm like, is this true? He goes, it absolutely is not true, dude. That did not happen. She's lying. Can you come down here and so I can talk to you about it? And I was like, no. I don't know if you're gonna shoot me or something. If I know, right? I don't know if this dude's crazy or not either. So I started doing some more and more digging, and the more I dig, and I found out, I'm like, you know what? Bella does lie a lot. And Anna started asking questions, and once she heard what it was, she was like, "Oh, that's awful." And I was like, "Yeah, what was Bella's demeanor like?" She was like, she was just kind of like, "Yeah, boop, 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 my dad did this," and then the next day, and like she's just like, literally no change in her demeanor, nothing's different. She's just kind of the same. And I was like, Anna, now that you kind of know what that is, if I did that to you, what she's claiming her dad did to her, like, would you be able to act normal? She was like, not a chance. That would, she was like, she gets emotional. And she's a little kid, right? She's like, I can't believe, like, and then she directly asked her, she's like, are you sure this actually happened? She goes, well, I'm just going along with whatever my mom said. And so two girls got her to admit this while secretly recording it. And but meanwhile, the state took the kids away from dad. And mom are separate. And all of these things is this whole big thing. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. He didn't freaking do it. And then when I put all the evidence together, I'm like, I told Anna, I said, Anna, in a situation like this, like you and I might need to testify to say, hey, we think this guy is actually innocent. Because she's gone over there many times to play, hang out and play with the family, and they'd play ball and trampoline and go sledding. I'd let her go hang out with them, and then Bella would come over to our house and stay the night several times. Like, so it's not like it was just this super random situation. We're like, this is odd. And so the more I dug into it, I'm like, I actually think he's innocent. And once we figured out that we think that he's innocent, with Bella confessing that she's just going along with what her mom's saying, we're like, Anna got like, she was like, yeah, you know what? We do need to stand up. And I was like, care integrity means you're not going to lie, you're not going to cheat, you're not going to steal. That's good integrity. But character has a courage element. That means you got to stand up for what's right, even if it puts you in harm's way or gets you really uncomfortable. Character has a way deeper element than just like you can not do the wrong thing and still not do what's right at the same time. And it was a really cool opportunity to teach my, then 12-year-old daughter. Now she's 14, right? Well, just a couple weeks ago, the morning after Kyle got hit in the accident and he was in the hospital that night, that Thursday morning, my daughter and I finally we went to the court case, and she got to stand, and swear in before God and in the court of law and testify to say, why she thinks that Chris is innocent, basically. And I got to do the same thing. And up until basically here's my whole point in telling you this. When I got up there, I was very conscientious of the judge, the prosecuting attorney, the people that were in the room, and I was like, I want everyone to like me. And I'm going to be very confident and bold in what I'm going to say, but I'm going to do it in a likable way, right?
Mhm.
So, which means I had to tell the judge that the girl making this accusation is a liar. That's actually really insulting to the judge when you do that. So it's like weird, but that's the truth. So how do you do that? Well, it's bloody difficult. Well, after my testimony, my buddy Chris and his lawyer, they were like, dude, like you just shook the bush. They were the prosecuting attorney was blitzing me with these questions, trying to get me to trip up. And the way I answered it, he was like, "You were the first testimony to make that dude's like you knocked him off his course. He didn't know what to do." And it wasn't in a negative way. Like he said, "Larry, like you, I see that you've mentioned that before all this you were acquaintances, but now afterwards you've become friends. Well, like I can tell it's a very important piece of information for you. Why do you think that's such an important piece of information for all the rest of us?" And I was like, and I was thinking about it. I said, well, he goes, yeah. And he kept asking. As I was thinking, he wouldn't let me think. He kept asking it in a different way, three different times. And I said, well, I said, okay. I said, well, I think because if I knew him better, I would have felt more comfortable going and talking to him directly, but I didn't. So I called my pastor. I did research. I'm like, what do kids look like if they're confessing and it's actually real? What's their demeanor? Who were they before the incident? Who were they after? I don't know. I from a lay perspective, I'm trying to delineate, do I want my daughter continuing to play with this girl? If she's lying about something, is she okay? And I said, and my first concern was her. Before I knew or had an opinion about the situation, I was more concerned about her. So I immediately started doing some information digging because I didn't know Chris that well. I was, you know, I was very upset. I think this is a heinous crime. When these things actually happen, it is awful. And so that was and so Chris goes like, dude, he was not expecting you to say that. And I'm like, well, it's the truth, right? And but the way I delivered it, like my heart was bleeding for the girl at first. And then I was like, wait a minute, she's the freaking mastermind behind this. Her and her mom are trying to set this all up. And it's awful. It's like it's awful how the whole thing went down. But the reason why I tell you that is because I'm always concerned I'm not concerned. I'm always thinking when people are around me, do they feel better or worse for the experience? Anytime I'm in public, especially when I got the jersey on, when I'm in public, my goal is to be very warm and sincere. My smile, my eyebrows go up all the time. Like if I say, hey man, what's up? Now watch my eyebrows. Hey man, what's up? Whoa, major difference. Why? I don't know. But like, even if my inflection was right, hey man, what's up? Or hey man, what's up? Like the countenance lifting up like that completely changes what you say. So it's not necessarily the words you say, it's the image you convey. So if you're saying these right things and you're making these adjustments, but it doesn't feel like if it feels annoying to you, then guess how these new changes that you're making, guess how they're going to be delivered in an annoyed way. Like you're almost like if you don't understand intrinsically why these nuances matter, then you might understand a little bit, but if you don't like really hunger to want to know, then they're going to be mechanical. And then if you have one wrong day, one bad day, you get not enough sleep, you're hangry, you got a toothache, you're an hour and a half late because of a snowstorm pile up on work, nothing had anything to do with you. You get there and then got to run through these dumb changes. But instead, if the focus is, I care about what people think of me, it super matters. Every person, the customer, the employees, I want to make sure they're accommodated for. I want to make sure everyone's doing good, humming good, everyone's right. And I also got to hustle and I want to make sure people see me hustling. I want people to see me smiling. I want customers to walk away and go, wow, what a wonderful young man. Right. And you might go, well, Larry, I got a lot of customers who say that. Great. That's 99% of them say that. But the one big one is the big gap in the road. And you get kicked out. That means we can't drive through the road just because the 99 ones are good. That one huge gap that expands the road, if you can't drive over it, then the 99 don't matter. So that's why I used that analogy for you to kind of chew on last night because dude, I like you. Like, dude, you've think about the track record of getting kicked out, customer complaints, and we're still talking because I've spent about an hour with you now so far this morning. What as the owner of the company, why do you think I wanted to take an hour of my time to have this conversation with you? To threaten you or anything like that? Or do you think it's because I actually think you can win?
You know I can do this.
Yes, right. You know that I know that you know that I know. You know, I know you can do it. Right. And, but you got to hunger. Like, dude, hunger, your hunger level, it can only grow with continual new information. Oh, right here, dude. Okay. Check this out. Do you have this book from Holger from back in the day?
I don't think I've ever got it.
Launching a leadership revolution.
I never
My,
got it.
I got to hold it by my face or else it'll go blurry. Boop.
I see it. I never got it.
No?
No. But he's also given me a
Um,
bunch of books, and I haven't even read any of those yet.
all
I'm
right.
not a big reader.
What's that?
I'm not a big reader. Hey, if
Okay.
we started a book club, I'd go to
All right. We're here. So let me ask you a question. How is that
it.
working out for you?
What?
Not reading.
Mhm. I mean, when I read these chapters that this book he gave me, um, if I go like a week without reading another chapter, that information really like divulges in me faster. Um, um, I'm able to absorb faster with more time. It's weird. You could hit me with all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't give me the time to absorb it, it's never gonna be applicable.
So, how many books have you read in your life so far?
I used to read a bunch. I used to read all the time, but I was all fantasy books. I started in, I think, Han Intermediate, and then from Han Intermediate to the end of middle school, I read maybe 30, 40 books,
Okay. All right.
maybe more.
What about like informational, like self-help, leadership books, things like that? How many books have you read since then? Since
I
high
think
school?
maybe one.
Okay. So reading a book versus studying a book is also very different. The
Oh, I've
way
never
the
studied in my
brain
life.
works, the what you're experiencing with that is true, but the thing that you're not giving your brain a chance to do is to let the subconscious brain grow. Your conscious brain only has 2,000 neurons that it could stimulate around. So when you're reading information, and as like we grow like trees, we don't grow like, you know, we don't grow like a bamboo tree necessarily. We grow like we mature over time. So that experience is going to happen whether you read the book or not. So and your opinion on that, it cannot be applicable because if you've only read one book, then you don't know if that's true or not. You would only have to know. But what every leader has ever said is if you don't read a minimum or study 15 minutes a day, because how you grow, you're right though, on some that experience is actually true, but you have to study for 15 minutes a day, and then how you grow. So you've heard the phrase, um, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Have you ever heard that before?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the rest of it?
No.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away, not seven apples on Sunday. What do you think that means?
Not seven apples on Sunday?
Yeah, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, not eating
Oh,
seven
oh,
apples on Sunday.
okay, yeah. You want to eat it every day, not all at once.
Not all at once. So 15 minutes of reading a day is better than reading one chapter or reading for 2 hours on Sunday and then trying to like let your brain do its thing all week long and then read another big chunk and then let your brain. No. What all the experts say is if you read for 15 minutes, or not read, but like actually study. Like I'm going to study for 15 minutes a day very intentionally and then think on it and then do the
So
same thing the next day and then think on it some more. And sometimes that means rereading stuff. So if you read that chapter had a conversation with it, all these things. The way that I've got a whole article that's called How to Read Like a Leader. If I sent you that PDF, would you read it?
Probably. I mean, I've never studied in my life, so I don't even know how. Like my memory is so good that like if I get lectured once on it, I'm typically really good with it. Like, but if I'm reading, it makes me want to hang myself.
Okay,
Like
so how good is your listening skills?
they're getting better.
Okay. All right, because you have mentioned to me about your memory. I've heard you tell several people about your memory. I'm actually okay with you trying to speak that into existence because there probably are certain things that you have a really good memory about, and there's other things that you have a really terrible memory about, right? But if you force yourself to believe that you have a good memory with everything, that's good as long as you're not self-deceived. But I've seen you be self-deceived several times with things that you've forgotten that we've trained on, right? And
It's
and a
too
lot
much
of that
information
is
at once.
what's that?
It's too much information at once and whatnot. Like if we took 10 minutes and I like, stepped out and caught my thoughts and we went another 20 minutes and then you asked me about those 20 minutes, I'd be able to rephrase it and then rephrase it like an hour after that. But if I absorb it all like like an hour, like I'll remember bits and pieces, like the big bits and pieces. If you
Yeah.
ask me about the small ones are gonna take time.
Okay. So what if we don't have enough time to learn it? Then what do you do? Like if we say, hey, you can't have one more mistake for 90 days. So you can't have, oh shoot, I forgot that one. Oh shucks, this customer's super mad. Oh my bad. Like we don't have that time now. Like that time's been. So now we're like now it's dire straits. So what do you think you could do to make sure you remember things more acutely?
I mean, I could take notes, but I'm terrible at taking notes and rephrasing stuff. So like, it's either I write a whole book or I write nothing at all. Like that's
Okay,
that's me. So
this is what we're gonna do. Let me
like, I'm terrible when it comes to studying. Like in middle school, I've had teachers try to like get me to write notes while I read or highlight stuff, and I couldn't even do all that. Um, like I'm just terrible at studying, terrible at like
now
absorbing and
do you think that's something that you're just gonna have to live with, or do you think it's just a skill that you haven't learned how to do it yet?
a little bit of both.
Hmm. So you don't think that you'll ever learn how to be a good studier?
I've tried. Or it could be that I just don't enjoy it. And that's why I'm terrible at it. Um,
I I would agree with you that that's probably what it is. Um, I'm sending you an email right now to Payton Peplinski, carbon copy, Eric Schutte. Um, how to read a book like a leader. I actually have this pre-written out for such an occasion. I wrote this on November 19th, 2021. And this how to read a book thing I'm going to share with you. Let's see. What was a bunch
like
of
I don't know. I was reading like fantasy books and everything, and like I think the first year of high school, or no, like last year of middle school, and I wanted to get into something more literature reading, like Charles Dickens and whatnot.
okay.
And I think I got like too distracted with life, and I could never read them. So like I tried to, but like it seemed too boring. But like I was trying to push through it. Like there was nothing exciting in the book that like the fantasy books had. Uh,
You are you're going to love this, bro. That's fine. Fine, fine, fine.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you see that business card Eric shared in the chat?
I did.
Did he tell you about it?
He did.
What do you think about that connection I made?
I think it's incredible.
So I'm in the process of making a few more connections. You remember I told you about trying to get like a regional manager or something like that of a dealership branch?
Hmm.
I'm slowly uh, itching at that inside the dealership at Avis. Building those small connections, then asking those small questions. Um, I want to eventually get up to the owner of Avis, but I want to build my presence there longer before I talk to him and whatnot. So I'm digging away at it slowly, not taking big digs or anything, just building those small connections first in the dealership.
Hmm.
And then when I find that person and I'm able to get an introduction, that's when I want you and Eric there. Because
Okay.
can you imagine if I got a regional manager of Ford and next thing you know, one meeting could mean we get 20 dealerships on the spot and we can get implemented into the dealership life instead of being of the dealership life. I don't know. I like that thought.
Okay.
I know it's a little bit much I just threw at you, but
No, you're good. Okay. Can you check your email real quick?
I'm on it right now.
You should have gotten two emails.
Maybe they're still standing. Oh, here they are right here. All right. How to read a book like a leader. Oh, that's very tiny.
It's very tiny.
I don't see a lot there.
Well,
One, two, three, four, five, like 7 paragraphs. I thought it'd be bigger.
what are you talking about? So it says Peyton, first, please read this email below. Second, read through the PDF article I just shared with you.
Oh, I see.
There's a phrase that says, those who don't read are no better off than those who can't read. So if you don't take this part really, really seriously, then you're basically going to be operating around like an illiterate human. So the problem that I have with that as a business owner, like completely separated from if I want you to win or not, if I'm hiring someone who can't read, they can't work for me. We can't do business together because we
Like
can't
I,
engage in contract. So
like
like
I,
I know you can read, but I just want you to understand, like, if you don't read, then that's the same as someone who can't read. Someone can't read, even if I gave them stuff to read and they can't read it, then they can't learn, or they can't do. I can't like solo let them hang out in a drive because they won't be able to do and they won't be able to think and engage in contract. So in order to be able to think and engage in contract, you have to be able to read, and you have to read because it's so heavily nuanced with these little things that you don't have time, you don't have enough chances to fail and fall on your face in order to learn. Like the only like what you got to do is you got to learn through the reading for now. And if you have not learned how to read, well, then we got to get you on the fast track. So what I want you to do is like the thing, Peyton, that I wanted to really like, I really wanted to hammer this out is that you are talented, but you will not win unless you are reading and listening to good leadership content and like asking questions like and hungering to grow. You have to be like starved for information and like, dang it, what else don't I know? I talked about it in my little email here. Like the more I started learning when I first started reading books, dude, after high school, I was like, I guess I wasn't really looking to, I didn't know about that. Well, this isn't what I thought I was going to learn. And I just kept having those experiences. Like the more information I got, the hungrier I grew. And I was like, geez, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do that one. And oh my gosh. Okay. That I do that terribly every time. Like all the emotions and all the experiences when I'm going through these reading the stuff. It's like, now here's another thing. It's super like reading is extremely inconvenient. It's extremely think about think about what my life is. I've got four girls. They go to four different school buildings. Anna's at the high school, Danny's at the middle school, Mia is at Gates Elementary, and Elena is at Teddy Thompson.
Ooh, I went to Gates.
Yeah, yeah, go Gates. Did you have Christine Glenn as your counselor? She's awesome.
No.
I think
I
she
got
might have
some
been.
stories about Gates. I got some stories about Gates.
I'll have to connect with you later about that. So listen, I got this. I've got my two older, all of my girls are in musical theater practices twice a night. We've got Awana. I'm teaching the Awana class Wednesday nights. We've got drumline practice twice a week. We've got competitive a vocal group that my two oldest ones are in that they have practice for that once a week. Um, we also sing praise and worship at our church in Davison and usually 2 to 3 times a month on Sundays. And right, and on top of that, I'm running a business where I've got 40 families counting on me having taxes done, back office done, relationships with the contracts secured, all the relationships with all the field and the admin and humming and cohesive and all of these things. So, how much time do you think I have to read freaking anything? Zero. How much time do you think I spend reading every day?
I don't know a lot. Maybe if you think about reading in terms of reading,
How much time do you think I study leadership content?
15
Yeah,
minutes a day.
more. Take a guess. Less than 2 hours a day.
Okay.
More than 15 minutes. Take another gander.
45 minutes.
About 90 minutes a day. Sometimes it's early in the morning. It's the only time I got. I'll get up at 5, sometimes between 4:30 and 5:30 every morning. And I make sure, dude, I dig into my Bible every day. I dig into a leadership book or an article, and I'll take some exams and I'll test. And the leadership content I'm studying, it varies. The categories change. Sometimes it's about money. Sometimes it's about economics, and the concepts of economics, not just the finances.
It's it's weird how my mind works. I take a lecture and I learn more from a lecture than I do reading. Because like when I look at this email you sent me,
Mm-hmm.
I find it super hard to focus and read this. Like I'll read a sentence and then my eyes will automatically scan line to line until something of importance just lights up in my head, and I'm like, all right, I got to focus on this line, and then I scan to scan, and it's like I can't put my 100% focus into reading, but I can at a lecture, which is different, weird,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Your brain has never been trained on how to read. If I were to read this to you right now, as you're reading it with your eyes, you'd get a double fold scan. So like people who do audiobooks, those are great, but if you read the audiobook while it's being read to you, it unlocks, dude. It unlocks your brain on so many levels. If you just could experience it a few times, you'll know what I mean. But
Oh, I have.
dude, but the reading part, it stimulates a completely different part of your brain that's got cobwebs on it. Yeah, and if you listen to an audio, that's a part of your brain that's alive and shaking and baking, and it's got some stamina too. You could learn a lot. You got a brilliant brain, but you got a part of your brain, dude, that's not active. It's not dead, but it's for sure not active. And so you reading through a book right now that Eric has you reading, like what I would equate it to is we're saying, hey, Peyton, I want you to go to the gym and I want you to run for 2 hours straight, no breaks. You can have some water with you. Then I want you to swim 50 laps. And then I want you to bench press starting at 225, and I want you to do 5 reps of 20 each. You're gonna be like, how about I start with the bar? I'll do 20 reps of those 5 times each. What do you think, coach? Can I start there? Right? Like, I mean, if you have not worked out at all, you couldn't do that. Now, could you eventually? Yeah, guys do like to do guys do stuff like that all the time. I remember here watching an interview with Jerry Rice. Do you remember Jerry Rice, the famous running back in football and NFL?
Never heard of him.
Okay. Well, Jerry Rice is a Hall of Famer guy, or you could look him up. He would be he was in the NFL for 2 decades. And he would be like 15, 16 years in. And these new guys, these hot shots, these up and comers, they were cocky, they were wicked talented. And they're like, they heard about Jerry Rice's workout routines. And they were like, we could do that. We'll beat him at it. So they were like, all right. So the people who knew better, they're like, let's go ahead and set this up. We want to see you do better than our boy Jerry Rice over here. And Jerry's like, yeah, it's fine. We'll work out together. And they couldn't make it halfway through Jerry Rice's workout before he wasn't even panting, and they were like puking because they were so whooped and exhausted. And he's like, I'm not even out of breath yet. It's like, what are you hot shots doing here? I thought you were, the up and comers. They would poke fun at, the football community is fun and different. They poke fun, but it's all in love. The point is I don't expect you, and Eric doesn't expect you to be able to read and comprehend the way we're doing that. But what we do expect you to do is have hunger, because hunger is a choice. So if you read 15 minutes a day, I expect you to call Eric and tell him, you verbalize to him what you just read. So I want you to prepare, like, okay, this is for 15 minutes. I could probably get through one chapter. All right. But let's say you read for 15 minutes. You're like, all right, I got to talk to Eric about this every time, every day for 2 weeks straight. I got to tell him what I'm reading and learning. And if you had that kind of accountability, like, you're like, all right, Eric, when's the next time I could talk to you? And you're becoming a squeaky wheel. You're the a mentor. What a mentor can do to impart knowledge or wisdom into someone else, into the protege, which is you, is determined by the hunger level of the protege. So if you're not hungry, then everything I'm teaching you is going to go in one ear and right out the other. But if you're hungry, you're like, okay, what do I got to do? All right, well, you got to read every day, and you have to ask questions, and you have to always assume you don't have all of the information. Always assume you don't have all the information. When you're with the customer, when you're on the job, when you're reading the book, you learn, oh, this makes sense. It's conclusive. Nothing's conclusive. Nothing. There's always more to the story. And if you know that, that will help you keep your like a passionate level of hunger. So if you make sure you go bananas on the hunger, and you like blindly say, all right, I'll read your dumb book, Larry, for 15 minutes a day. Try it on for size. And I've not read the book that Eric's got you reading. It sounds like it's going to be a pretty good one, though. But I've got some stuff in here, dude. Like this launching a leadership revolution. There's a diagram in here called the Trilateral Leadership Ledger, and there's some other books that have like tests for you to see where you're at and where you line up. The problem is that one category is going to give you like 20 different words. How good are you in this word? How good are you in this with this word? And if you don't know any better, you're going to take your own understanding of what those words mean, but those words could have several different meanings depending on the context of the word. So what the author does is at the end of the book, they put the definition that they mean. Like, hey, this word, we mean this. This word, we mean this by that. So what you got to do is you have to take the exam by what's this word? This word, what do they mean by that word? They mean, oh, this. Okay, where do I stack up with that word? And you give yourself a score, right? And you go through that, and then you add them all up and you average it, and then that's your score. And there's 3 big categories. There's character, tasks, and relationships. Character, tasks, relationships. Under character, there's a whole bunch of words you got to, and you add it all up. Under tasks category, you got to do all these different questions and things. And then under relationships, same thing. And the way it works is this category times this category times this category equals where you're at. So only Jesus is ever, it's one, 0 out of 10, right? 10, 10, and 10. 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000. There's only one human that's ever walked the earth that's ever gotten 1,000 points. That's Jesus. So like if you know that, like Jesus is the 10 10 10, and right, that it helps us to not over what's the word when you like I'm over
Estimating
uh,
yourself.
yeah, like, oh, I'm like a 9 and this one, an 8.5 here, probably like a 7. Right? No, you're not. That's way like that's like Mother Teresa level. You know what I'm saying? Like not Jesus level, but so usually up and coming leaders are in the two, ones, twos, threes, and fours. I would say at some of the categories I'm in, I'm between like a 4 and a 6. The only one that I'm maybe getting close to a 7 finally in my 40s. I'm finally getting close to a 7 in the relationships category. 7 out of 10. That's my highest category. My tasks, I'm not even at 5 yet. My character, I'm probably about a 5 or 6 because because my courage element has grown so tremendously over the past couple of years. So, but dude, there's so much right now that you don't know about. That there are a lot of things that you are doing still that hurt the company, like the cash deal situation. Like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Like, like what I eventually want for you to do is to be completely heartbroken by that. Like, I cannot believe I had to do that. I'm not expecting you to be heartbroken right now, but eventually, as you grow, you're gonna realize some of your decisions from your past. You're gonna go, oh my God, what have I done? You know what I'm saying? But if you don't have the information, if you don't grow through that, if you don't give your brain that apple a day, that 15 minutes a day, and then talk about it with Eric, right? Kind of like a book club, but like advanced because it's every day. You're reading every day, you're talking about it every day. Um, learn one, do one, teach one. It's like if you learn about something, you immediately try to apply it into your work that day or the next day, and then you teach it to Eric. Like if Eric and you have this setup where Eric, I'm going to teach you about what I'm learning about. He might already know about it, but the point is that for you to cement it into your brain so that you can remember and make it become a part of your everyday life. That's how you do it. So I just wanted to explain. So like right now, because of the severity of the situation, we just lost an account. Right, Vic Candiver is a dear account to me. I'm gonna try to salvage it, but I can't. Like, so I want you to know there's been a lot of blood, sweat, and hundreds and hundreds of hours of my time has been spent there, and 2 complaints, and they kicked me out. Like it's a really big deal. Like it's a really big smack in my face. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
So if you're like, man, I guess I'll change a little bit. You're not saying this. I know you're not saying this, but if it way deep down, if you had any level of like, ugh, here we go again. Gotta learn how to do something a little bit different, then it's all it's gonna happen is it's gonna result in you're gonna get kicked out of Avis Ford. They're gonna call me, Larry, you gotta get this Payton guy out of here. He's pissing my customers off. Right?
Like, like when you
That is
texted
like,
that
dude,
when you texted that last night, like I was dumbfounded and my heart just dropped. I was like, "There's no way." Like, like I'm just thinking, "There's no way that just happened." Like I thought everything was good. Like I'm changing my pitch. I'm like I'm doing everything right. How am I still having problems? And it's just
yeah. But dude, I believe in you still. That's why, again, that's why I'm having this conversation, dude, because I believe in you. I know that you can do it as long as your hunger. The only thing I'm going to keep saying it over and over is your hunger. And I will be able to evaluate your hunger based on the action you take. And not like I will try to dabble in these changes. I want you to take massive action, massive reading, calling, asking questions. Even if you think you got it, double check it, triple check it, quadruple check it. Like, have passion and energy in your personal growth right now, like your life depended on it. Because, dude, could you go get another career doing something else? Sure. I'm sure you could, right? But you're going to learn the lessons there too. And I guarantee You don't have a guy like me. I would say I would say at least 95% of every business owner I've ever met does not understand what I'm teaching you right now. They don't even understand it either. That's also why 95% of all business owners fail, completely go bankrupt and out of business in their first 5 years of business. Did you know that? Did you know that statistic?
Yeah.
You did? Okay. And then out of the 5% who last, 95% of them go out of business over the next 5 years. So after 10 years, we're talking a fraction of a percent stay in business. So, so that means after 10 years, out of 100 people, one stays in business, right? What's
Right.
90? If we said 1,000, well, let's just do a million. A million, uh, yeah, times 0.95. That's 950,000. So 50,000 left. Um, yeah, 50,000 people left after 5 years times 0.95, 47.5. So 50,000 minus 47,500, right? 2,500. So out of a million entrepreneurs, divided by 2,500. Oh, no, sorry, 1 million. No, no, no. Sorry, I got it. 2,500 divided by 1 million. Is that the math? Oh, no, that's it. So if you take 2,500 divided by 1 million, that's 0.0025. So 0.0025% of every business owner makes it after 10 years. Why do you think that is? Not even a percent, not even 1% of business owners last after 10 years. Why? Because they have not been taught this. So what I'm trying to do right now is not help you win in my company, just that. What I'm trying to teach you now, brother, is to save yourself a decade of unnecessary pain of failure by these super tiny little nuances. Reading, hungering to read. If you hate it, change the way you feel about it. It's up. If it's not natural, if you hate it, why do you hate it? I hate it because I'm not learning anything. All right. So if I learned something, then I wouldn't hate it. Maybe you gotta talk yourself out of it, right? All right. I hate this because I'm not learning, but I don't like learning this way, even if I was learning something. Why don't I like that? Like, why? Ask why 5 times, you'll get to the core of it. And if it's really petty, right? Say, all right, but I need to like it in order to do it. So how could I like it? Well, what's the result? The result is high respect from your peers, high respect and recognition from those around you. The dealerships love you. The customers love you. They call you into the company party. Hey, man, we just wanted the Avis team. We're so appreciative of what you do here, brother. We would love to have you come to our company Christmas party. Dude, all those painful reading sessions, all those phone calls with Eric, right? These Zoom calls with Lair Bear Extraordinaire, like all of the pain of that training is it with one good victory, the pain completely goes away. And the result of doing these things, dude, the result is so good. Like however good you could possibly imagine it feeling, times that by 100. That's how good it feels. And it makes it easier to palate the reading. Like, dude, when I'm exhausted, I got zero sleep, all of these things. The last thing I want to do is pick up a stupid book and read it. That's my natural state every time, even this many years into reading. That is my natural go-to mind work. So as soon as I feel I have to immediately pattern interrupt and be like, I get to read. I get to learn. The result is going to be better than I even imagined. I have to tell myself, my self-talk. If I tell myself I hate it, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to hate it. If I tell myself that the results are worth it and it's not all that bad, get over yourself. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to, I'm not going to hate it. And I'm going to remember that I'm reading for the results. I'm not reading just to read. I'm reading because I hate sucking at whatever category I'm sucking at. Right? All of it's connected. And I just, you know, just, you got to remember your natural state of being is going to fail you. That's called your constitution. Your natural constitution as a human, which means your personality, your desires, your likes, your dislikes, your creature comforts, your quirks, all of it, all of the natural things that make Payton Peplinski will fail you every time. To um, the best way to think about it is think of the statue, the big marble statue of David.
I
Um, do you know the story behind that statue and why Michelangelo carved it all out and all that stuff?
don't even know what statue you're talking about.
The statue of David.
Never heard of it.
Oh, well, look it up. It's like several stories high. It's like this huge statue of King David from the Bible. Well, they were building infrastructures in these coliseums and all these things, right? They were building these infrastructures in Rome, and they were using marble
Oh,
and
that one.
granite and stuff. Well, there's this huge hunk of marble, and they were like, "What are we going to do with this?" And Michelangelo, right? He painted the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. You know about that? The big famous painting. Well, he was like, "Well, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like, we could make this a decorative art." They're like, "What are you talking about?" They're all perplexed. They saw a big hunk of marble, but what Michelangelo saw was King David. So a little hammer and chisel. He started chiseling away, and after an excruciatingly long period of time, this statue of King David finally appeared, and it still exists today. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, right, of years later. So my point in telling you that is all of us are a big hunk of marble. Our natural state is a big hunk of marble. But every time you read a chapter of a book, every time you call Eric, every time you force yourself to be hungry to learn and get like better and to remember that you don't have the full story, nothing's conclusive, you got to stay at it, that the results are worth it. What's going to happen is you're taking your hammer and chisel and you're going like you're now see I see the King David in you right now. And I'm equipping you with the tools to carve away all that excess marble. It feels natural, and it's painful to cut away that marble because it's a part of you, but it's worth it because you're going to reveal the best version of yourself, not just the hunk of marble that probably these customers are seeing in those moments. In certain moments, you might already be revealing the King David that's inside you, but a lot of other moments when they're getting that upset, it's because all they can see is a big hunk of marble, and you're just in their way, and their experience is awful, and they're diminished, and they write gigantic long emails to the owner of Vic Canover Chevrolet, right? So it's not just a normal complaint. Like these complaints have gone through the chain. This last complaint didn't even go to Brian. He didn't even know about it, let alone like, so two complaints skipped him. They went right to the general manager and to Jeff Canover, who's the owner, and then his dad, Richard Canover. Both of them got the complaints, and they're just like shut it down, and rightfully so. They should shut it down because it's jeopardizing their brand, right? And so that means so Payton. So not only did you get a complaint, but it was so bad that it went all the way up to the top, and none of us even had a chance to tackle it. Um, so so that I just want you to
How
remember
often
that
does that
because
happen?
what's that?
How often does that even happen? That like a complaint is so severe it just bypasses everybody.
That it's happened less than these last two are less than 10 in my entire career of had this happening to anybody. So they're different customers that don't know each other, and they both happen in this way. Um, so that's why I'm like it's really important you understand like the severity. It's not like they just sent in a cute little negative survey, which is bad too, but they sent a direct email to Jeff Canover and Richard Canover in the GM, said this was so bad, I'm never going to come back here again. Right. So, so again, I'm going to dig in. I'm going to go there. I'm going to figure out what's going on. I'm going to dig into the situation and do what I can to uncover the details of what actually happened. Then you and I can get on the phone again and talk through, okay, now I know what happened. Here's what you did. Here's what they said. Here's what you meant to do. Here's what actually happened, right? We'll be able to, I'm going to get those details for you. But I just wanted to make sure like we talk now and like you got to understand like that this is a very rare thing, right? It's not just like, oh shucks, this sucks. Like that's why if this happens one more time at another, like that means like until you go all in on carving off all of this marble, we can't have you back in a shop. Well, we'll try, we'll keep you at Avis. We could try that, and I think you're going to do fine. But you got to be just super. You got to be ultra careful in being kind, deliberate. If a customer is talking your ear off and you're missing cars and your heart's pumping peanut butter through your veins, you're just like, shut up! You're costing me money because I'm missing all these cars, right? Whatever the case is, if anytime or you're double stacking and this one's about to leave and this one's going up on the hoist and you gotta like, you're going, oh my gosh, like when those situations arise, you're trying to make money and you are making money, you're kicking butt, like you know that you're supposed to say this, but did you accidentally in the heat of the moment say, yeah, you could just tell them that you saw the chip today, tell them that's about the size of a popcorn kernel, and you just tell them this, you'll be fine. Right? Eric still does stuff like that. This is being recorded, and Eric said, "Hey, I want to know how you coach people, so I want you to record this and send it to me." I said, "Okay, that's fine." So Eric will tell you, even him when he's doing 20 sales in a day, he's like, "Dude," he goes, "I still like do creature comfort, like just old habits die hard, man." So like he'll go back and say the same thing, and then he'll get a customer complaint, but usually that goes to like the service manager, right? It doesn't go all the way up to Chris Graff. I think we've had one go to Chris Graff a long time ago. But I don't even remember if that was Eric or not. Um, but we at least knew about it before it went up there. This situation going all the way to the top right away, yeah, less than 10 times in 12 years of doing business. So, which is fine. I'm not mad at you. I'm not beating you. I don't want to beat you up. It's just, but it's really important that you know that you understand like how big of a deal that is and why it's like making some changes is not a suggestion. It's like, well, or I mean, I guess it is a suggestion. If you don't implement it, then it's just going to happen again. um and I just don't want it to happen to you, dude. I don't want to lose you. I have every intention of slingshotting you all over the country if you so choose. I need someone to go through this experience honestly and go to different markets. And I need you to be able to see the old Paytons of the world. And they're gonna go, oh yeah, I'll say this, and I'll the snot nosed young punk kid before they went to the military. That Payton. You're gonna find guys like that, and you're gonna go, oh dear sweet baby Jesus, what do I do with that guy? Right? People say, "Oh man, I wish I had more Larry Allsweeds." At this point in time, I'm like, no, no, you do not want that. I trust me. Like I only want one of me because I don't even want me sometimes because I'm a cotton-headed nitty muggins. Uh, right? But I'm awesome. But like, if I ever had to get a Larry Allsweed in the company and I had to help him carve through his marble, dude, I don't have the patience that Holger Spiewak has. I was awful for him. I don't know that I would be able to handle doing that. What he did for me, I would not be able to do that for someone. Maybe I would. I don't know. I mean, Holger was about the age I am now when he started working with me. So what? I don't know. Whatever. So it is what it is. But dude, read that email that I read and read it slowly. Read it as if so. You hear how I'm talking to you right now, right?
Yeah.
Read this email too. This is how I want you to read it. Peyton, first, please read this email below. And second, read through the PDF article I just shared with you. And now this is called the email is now called Why How to Read a Book is a Great Question. My lifelong business partner, friend, and mentor, Holger Spiewak, asked me roughly 8 years ago. Well, geez, that's not true anymore. More like 15 years ago. He asked me a very interesting question. Imagine a thick German accent. Larry, what if I told you I would pay you $10,000 a month to read books? To which I replied with reluctance, I would tell you I love reading. And do you want reports? Like, I would, ha! I mean, I never read books. I thought they were such a waste of time. I knew how smart I was already. Like I could figure things out. I'm a very hands-on. I'm a trial by error. Like I'm good. Wow, how ignorant I was and still am in many respects. Keynote: the more ignorant someone is, the less acute one's awareness is of one's ignorance. I digress. Once I picked up a book and sought out mentorship and new leadership experiences, the more I realized how much I did not know about success. Yet I felt frustrated developing the habit of reading because I felt like I wasn't excelling in my speed and my understanding and my retention. And therefore, the benefits of reading that these multimillionaires touted, I would get. Like, so then I ran across this article, How to Read a Book. I learned two things. One, I was learning, but I was not, it was not in the way I thought I should be. Isn't that funny how we can sometimes be blind to our personal growth because of how we think? For example, think of the Karate Kid movie. Mr. Miyagi was teaching Daniel-san karate through wax on, wax off. And Daniel got so frustrated because he thought he should be learning kicks and punches and moves, etc. Little did he know he was learning those things. Reading is kind of like that. Number two, to make $10,000 a month or more reading books, I need to take it to the next level for solid application. This article will help you accomplish both. My advice: dig into the article, then dig into your reading. You will find success in ways you were not expecting once you do. Happy reading, Lair. So now that I read that out loud to you in the email, if you read the email as if I was saying it like that, like almost like you're pretending, and if you could hear my voice like that, if you can experience that, then you're going to retain more because you can make it feel like an audio. That's how I
Oh,
had to
I
start.
do that.
What's that?
I do that all the time where um in past experiences for uh the roofing, Robert Keenan was the area manager, and I every time I think back to a pitch, I hear his voice word for word in the back of my head for an entire pitch, and it's just there.
It's just there.
Like,
So if you have anything written from him, you likely don't necessarily need an audio because you already got the audio right there, right?
mhm.
If you have that, then and you read like that, what happens is it's your brain doesn't know that you're not listening to an audio. Once you make that connection in your brain intentionally, and therefore when you read, now listen, I read slow and I was very frustrated. I read slow because I read it with an audio and I study it and I even will cut the guy off mid sentence and be like, well, hold on. Well, what do you mean by this? And I guess you're going to tell me, but all right, keep going. I will sometimes even verbally say that by myself. No one's watching me do this, Peyton. That would be really weird if I was doing that and people were watching.
Right, right.
But like the very first opening, this was written by a guy named Oliver DeMille. Have you ever heard Oliver DeMille speak?
No.
Dude, Oliver DeMille completely changed my life. Um, he wrote a book with Oren. He's not a part of Life Leadership. Oliver DeMille. Let me look this guy up. His audio. I got an audio. I will send you an audio. Dude, my calling in life was I finally figured out through the tools this guy provided on how to do that. Okay, so he's got a website called tjed.org. I almost was half tempted to go here. Oliver and Rachel DeMille. So if you go here, resources, learning portal, hold on, online resources. Yeah, the classics. No. Oh, where is it? Freebies. There we go. Resources, freebies. Oh, this has changed. They used to have it really easy to. Let me do this real quick. and then I got to go in less than 5 minutes. Okay, this is called the Technology of Genius by oh two one no OLI Oliver DeMille. The chemistry, no, it's the technology of genius. Um, Speeches. Here we go. Oliver DeMille speeches. The Four Lost American Ideals. This is one that changed my life too. The Freedom Crisis. Core and Love of Learning seminar highlights. I'll have to find some of these audios. But if you know how he talks, then you can read the article that I just sent you like that. Um, Readers may be divided into four classes: sponges, who absorb all that they read and return it in nearly the same state, only a little dirtied. Number two, sandglasses, who retain nothing and are content to get through a book for the sake of getting through a book and through the time. Number three, strain bags, who retain merely the dregs of what they read. Or four, mogul diamonds, equally rare and valuable, who profit by what they read and enable others to profit by it also. That's by a guy named Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Education is a stool with three legs. See much, study much, suffer much. Like, education is fraught with peril, especially when books are involved. Eye strain, brain strain, paper cuts, the dread Dunlap disease, right? Where the belly Dunlaps over the belt from too much physical inactivity. You're sitting there reading instead of doing stuff, right? And these are just the obvious maladies. For the record, these complaints are not, I repeat, not acceptable reasons to cease your education, right? This is how the article kicks off. So this is going to teach you what you need to do, Peyton. This little article that I sent you, it's going to teach you what you need to do on how to read these books that we start giving you from here on out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't want you to just read these books. I want you to know how to study them and how to hear them and how to actually make them make sense. Because you are in control of your mind, dude. You've got a brilliant mind, and I don't know like where your self image is on all that, but like, dude, God made you the way He made you very specifically, and you've got a genius inside you that hasn't even hit the surface, dude. Like it is. I have only seen it because I've poked my head under the water, and I'm like, there's genius right there. I'm like, okay, I want to bring it out. That's what I want to do. I believe in you. I want you to bring it out. And I know this is a very long 2-hour call, but um, again, instead of just cutting ties, I think that as long as you're willing to do these uncomfortable, difficult things and let me coach you like a Mr. Miyagi would, right? Or a John Wooden, and let Eric coach you too. And you hold yourself accountable to that, dude. I think you can make it work. So let me hang up because I gotta call my doctor's gonna call me in 1 minute, and I gotta go pee first. So
Okay.
so I'm gonna let you go. I'm proud of you. I will send you the copy of this email and the transcript of it, so you can refer back to it again in the future.
Okay.
It's going to be the raw, unedited 2-hour version. So not that you're ever going to watch it, sitting down in one sitting, but it's going to be good to reference with Eric. Okay.
Okay.
All right, buddy. I'm proud of you. Stay tough. Let's learn a lot. Talk to you soon.
Talk soon.